Marami na pong nagsasabi na huwag ka na bumili ng condo, oversupply na. Pero totoo ba to o takutan lang? Kaya pag-uusapan natin today kung may oversupply ba o hindi. Hi there, this is Chingitan, your pambansang wealth coach. Today, I'm so excited. We're going to do some fact check and we're going to talk about if we agree or disagree with regards to real estate industry, especially in the condo business. May konting humor lang tayong dadagdaga para hindi naman boring. Ayan lang, kung ayaw nyo matawa, huwag nyo na panoorin to. Kung gusto nyo matawa at matuto kayo, panoorin nyo to. Magre-react po tayo sa video na ginawa po ni Mean Clemente. She's a broker, appraiser, data-driven. Grabe talaga. Nung napanood ko yung buong tinapos ko talaga and sinabi ko, well thought of. Mean, congratulations and I want to do a commentary regarding what you have done. Ang goal natin dito, hindi po mag-panic, to be educated so that we can remove fear. After this session, ang challenge ko sa inyo, mamaya, kung ikaw ba ay team buy now or team observe muna. Mamaya, magko-comment kayo sa baba. Pero relax lang ha, itong pag-uusapan nating oversupply, hindi po oversupply ng chismis at marites. Grabe, oversupply lang to ng facts. Okay, let us start. May oversupply ba?
Condo oversupply happens when there are more condominium units available than people buying or renting them. Think of it this way. Imagine may isang product na nag-trending online, like a gadget or viral skincare item. Everyone wants one, so brands rush to make more. Suddenly, lahat ng seller binibenta na rin yon. But then, the hype dies down. People stop buying and those products naiiwan sa shelf o sa inventory, not because they're bad, pero dahil sobra-sobra na ang supply. That's what we're seeing. Too many condo units, not enough serious buyers or renters. How serious is the oversupply? Let's look at the numbers. According to Colliers Philippines, based on how fast units are being sold, the estimated absorption time is 98 months. Lichu Property Consultants is a bit more optimistic. They estimate around 38 months. Ibig sabihin, kung walang itatayong bagong condo buildings, aabuti ng 3 to 8 years bago mabenta lahat ng natitirang condominium unit.
The fact is, Colliers po ay isang independent body that really talks about real estate. They give facts, no? True facts. Si Colliers po matagal na po siya. Okay? They talked about 98 months of oversupply. Si Lichu naman po ay 38 months naman po. Mas optimistic ng konti. I would agree and disagree. In the sense, agree ako dito, kahit optimistic ka, parang supply and demand, di ba? Alam niyo naman sa economics, pag mataas po ang supply, ang demand ay kaunti, bumababa ang presyo. Pagka kaunti naman ang supply, pero ang demand napakataas, tataas naman po ang presyo. Ito yung tanong, ba't kumuunti ang demand? I don't totally agree that there's really an oversupply of condominium unit because marami pang Pilipino ang mga walang tahanan. You ask a freelancer, you ask a person na talaga ng family, nagre-rent ka ba? Gusto mo magkaroon ka ng sarili mong bahay, magkaroon ng condo na malapit sa work mo? 99% everyone will say yes. Alam lang ang problema, hindi oversupply. Honestly, ito lang atin-atin ng Tomaka Iponaryo. I believe maraming condo ang overpriced. Sa totoo lang, if they make it affordable, I do believe marami pong kukuha. The reason why hindi nila pwedeng ibagsak ang presyo, paano naman yung mga naunang bumili at pinangakuan nila, lalo na yung mga investor na may capital appreciation after so many years. Imagine mo, pag binili mo ang isang condo, let's say 300,000 per square. But because of this price adjustment na nangyari, paano kung binenta nila galit yung unang bumili? Tama o mali? Kaya nga, kung kayo po, may plano po kayo na bumili, make sure lang alamin nyo kung ano yung dahilan nyo. Sa totoo lang uulitin ko, kung may oversupply, okay, let's say marami talagang supply at saka overpriced din kasi. Kaya nga, nagsama-sama na. Kaya nga, ito lang po sabihin ko sa inyo. Kung ang ex nga hindi mo nga malilimutan in 3 years, condo pa in 8 years. Joke lang po. Hindi lahat naman ng lugar may oversupply. Tignan din natin saan sumusobra at saan din ang hindi.
Where exactly is this happening? Because it's not a nationwide problem. The oversupply is concentrated in Metro Manila, particularly the Bay Area, which boomed pre-pandemic because of strong demand from POGO tenants and investors. Pero mula nang ipagbawal ang POGOs at umalis ang karamihan sa kanila, ito na ngayon ang area na may pinakamaraming condo units na hindi pa nabebenta. Southern Quezon City, Alabang Las Piñas, Pasig City, and the Makati fringe areas experienced a wave of mid-range condominium projects, all targeting the same market, young professionals and investors. And with many of these projects turning over at the same time, hindi na rin nakakapagtaka kung bakit nagkaroon ng oversupply. So what we're seeing is oversupply in areas where developers built too many condos for specific buyers who didn't fully show up. In short, na overbuild pero hindi aligned sa totoong demand. And if we don't learn from this as buyers, sellers, investors, or even as an industry, there's a real chance the same pattern could happen again in other cities and provinces.
Nako, agree na agree ako. Alam mo, pagdating talaga sa condo, location is everything. Pag bumili po talaga kayo sa may Bay Area talaga during that time, grabe yung pogo boom noon. Lahat talagang inuupa, binibili, wala. Talagang ang taas talaga ng demand. O, kaya nga, mataas talaga ang presyo. Again, supply and demand. Pero nung nawala nga sila, nawala yung market. Kawawa talaga yung mga taong na bumili at naipit po ngayon. As a matter of fact, because of that, you know what happened? Ang mga condo prices ay nag-drop. Super. In terms of rental, yung mga nagpapaupa. Dating pinapaupang 60, ngayon probably 30 or 40,000 na lang. Almost 40 to 50% ang drop ng rental rate. Lalo na kung ang target nila ay Pogo. Kaya kung Pogo lang ang dahilan mo, bumili ka, baka mapogo ka rin. Ano yung ibig sabihin ng Pogo ka rin? Pogi only, girlfriend optional. Ang corny ko talaga, no? Pero hindi lang location ang problema, mismong ang, sinabi nga sa video na ito, yung sa research, which is really very thorough, ang problema mismo yung sistema ng ikang real estate industry, meron ding pagkukulang.
How this all happened in the first place. A lot of this has to do with how the system is built. Hindi lang ito tungkol sa oversupply or developers building too much. It's deeper than that. May mga gaps sa mismong foundation ng real estate ecosystem natin. Mga bagay na matagal nang kulang o outdated at hanggang ngayon hindi pa na-address. That's why, in the next few minutes, let's break down the 4 biggest systemic issues that explain why the condo market in Metro Manila ended up like this. Kung titignan mo, lahat na sasabihin ko ay interconnected. Number 1, no national livability standards. Wala tayong batas na nagsasabi kung ano ba talaga ang livable pagdating sa condo. Yes, we have laws, but none of them define what a dignified long-term home should look and feel like, especially in high-rise communities. What we currently rely on, Republic Act No. 4726, the Condominium Act of 1966. Wala itong binabanggit tungkol sa minimum na sukat ng unit, tamang layout, o kung gaano ito kakomportable tirahan bilang isang condo home. Batas Pambansa bilang 220. Sa ilalim ng batas na to, 18 square meters ang minimum floor area ng condominium o multi-family housing units. And because those laws haven't been updated for today's urban reality, developers treated them as the default benchmark even for prime high-rise condos, which is not ideal for long-term living given our urban infrastructure and current building standards. Sure, the National Building Code with its 2004 implementing rules and regulations enforce structural and safety rules for condos but still don't address livability. Developers then follow what is legal, not what is livable. They maximize density. Nagsiksik sila ng maraming units sa bawat floor. They kept the unit size small para lumabas na affordable ang monthly payments. It is legal, but livable? Depende. Karamihan sa mga nagawang studio units, maliit ang bintana, walang proper zoning between rest, work, and daily routines. Yung size sapat para sa isang tao temporarily pero kulang for real long-term living. That's why some foreign observers describe this as shoe boxes or even prison cells with windows. Harsh? Yes, but it highlights the real issue, the gap between what's allowed and what people need. Now let's take a look at one of our Southeast Asian neighbors, particularly Singapore, known for having the highest real estate prices in the region. In 2023, Singapore introduced a new livability standard even in high-demand, high-density areas like the central area. Under this rule, at least 20% of all condo units must be 70 square meters or larger based on net internal area. Ibig sabihin, hindi kasama sa bilang yung balconies o AC ledges. Samantalang sa Philippines, karamihan na binibenta sa market ay kadalasan 20 to 30 square meter studio-type layouts. This format has long been the standard for entry-level or investor-focused projects. In recent years, some developers have started rethinking their layouts and adjusting to new preferences. But overall, studio units remain dominant.
Totoo po yan. Outdated na po talaga yung batas. Imagine mo, 1960s or 70s pa yung batas niyan. Iba naman yung requirement ngayon. Siyempre, right now talaga lumalaki ng pamilya. Maliit po ang unit. Pasok nga sa budget. Pero ang question, livable ba siya? Maganda yan sa starting. We started also as a couple, nag-condo rin kami for a short time, pero pagka nagkaroon ka na isang anak, hindi na eh. Iba na eh. Dalawa, lalo na, wala na. Kailangan mo ng space. Kaya nga, kawawa eh. Siksikan eh. As a matter of fact, may mga ibang condo, lahat talaga. Ito lang ha, abot kamay. Abot kamay kainan, hapag kainan, di ba? Yung tulugan, CR, lahat abot kamay. That's the reason why, before you even buy a condo, alamin mo muna, pang short term ba yan or long term? Pang trabaho lang ba yan o talagang titirhan nyo talaga yan? Yung sa liit nga, parang nagiging shoebox na lang ang condo ngayon. Shoebox daw. Eh kung paa mo, size 12, edi kasyang-kasya. Kahit naman saturated na, bakit tuloy pa rin ang pagbibuild ng mga condo?
Number 2, no centralized multiple listing system. In other countries, they have a centralized MLS or multiple listing system. Pero dito sa Pilipinas, walang ganon. Developers launch projects without real-time market signals. They base decisions on past sales trends or internal projections, not on actual market absorption. Kaya, kahit obvious na saturated ng area, may bago na namang tower na itatayo. Feasibility studies are also sometimes too optimistic and there's no national system to validate or flag oversupply early. Worse, there's no legal requirement to disclose how many unsold units remain. Developers can withhold inventory from public view. Buyers end up thinking that the pre-selling is sold out, but in reality, malaking inventory ang naiipon. The impact, oversupply creeps in silently dahil walang transparent data to warn the market.
Tama po, walang MLS. Ibig sabihin, buyers akala sold out pero actually marami pa pala. Super agree ako dito. Ang dami kasi ako naririnig yung mga FOMO, last 2 units na, o sold out na yung ano, magmamadali ka. Pero pag i-check mo ngayon, ang daming bakante. Honestly, yung scarcity effect na yun, yung marketing tactic na yun, parang nakikita mo sa mall, di ba? Pag may nag-alok sa inyo mga massage chairs or everything, sabi niya, sir, last day na po namin. Tapos next week, nakita mo, nandun pa sila. Another week, nandun pa. Kailan kaya sila magla-last day? Alam mo, research ka. Okay, bago ka talaga bumili. Number 1, ilan talaga na benta. Number 2, alam mo, bago ka bumili sa area, magtanong ka na rin kung magkano ang rental rate, kung papaupahan mo. Importante na mag-research ka. Parang ex mo yan eh. May ginawang hindi tama. O sabi niya, last na to. Oo, patawarin mo na ako. Pero yun nga, make a text pa palang iba. Bukod pa sa inventory problem, ano pang isang malaking issue daw? National planning.
Number 7, POGO fuel demand and rental inflation. Alam na natin na naging big deal ang POGOs, but you might not realize how exactly their demand fueled Metro Manila's condo oversupply. Their demand brought easy profit to investors and landlords. Ano ba naman? Premium rates. They pay more than local families can afford. If the market rental rate for a one-bedroom condo is 30,000 pesos per month, POGOs were willing to pay 60,000 pesos per month. Upfront cash payment. Then, while a local renter would pay 1 month's advance and 2 months deposit, POGOs typically paid a 1-year advance or full term upfront. Bulk leasing. Some POGOs leased multiple condo units in bulk or even entire floors with minimal requirements. These attracted investors to buy more units, hoping to rent them out to POGOs or flip to the next buyer at a premium. Some POGO workers even bought condos themselves, then flipped them. Since the take-up was so strong, developers kept building convinced those high demand would stay long. When POGOs left, all those studios and one-bedroom units lost their anchor market almost overnight. Local families usually look for bigger, more flexible spaces, pero wala masyadong ganon na itayo na abot kaya. Yung mga naiwan na small condos, hindi practical para sa kanila. On top of that, mid-market prices are still too high for the average Filipino budget. Kaya, hirap pa rin ma-absorb ng market hanggang ngayon.
Alam mo, agree na agree talaga ako yung, again, because of the artificial demand of the POGO, ito yung classic case na artificial demand, hype investment. Maraming bumili dahil uso. Pero ano nangyari nung wala nga ang Pogo? Naiwan ng mga investors. Paano naman yung mga hindi na kaya magbayad? Ayun na, nareremata. Kaya nga, please, I always tell people, if you've been following me for the longest time, never invest in something that you do not understand. Never invest kung wala kang long-term plan. Lalo ng mga kababayan nating OFW. Pag kayo na-offera na kayo ng kondo, please, tandaan yun. Tanungin yun itong mga questions na ito. Magkano po ang down payment? Magkano ang monthly na babayaran mo? Na zero interest daw for the first 3 years kasi pre-selling. Pero tanungin mo rin, magkano na magiging monthly mo pag tinurn over na sa bangko? Magbabago na yan. Hindi na 15,000, hindi na 20,000. Lolobo na yan. And then number 4, qualified ka ba na mabigyan ka ng pautang ng bangko? Number 5, tanungin mo rin sarili mo kung gaano ka katagal na yung kontrata mo. Yung commitment mo probably sa property 10 years. Pero yung kontrata mo na lang 3 taon, 5 taon. Sino na magbabayad pag wala ka ng kinikita? Kailangan talaga pag-aralan muna mabuti bago ka talaga pumasok. Baka ikaw pa ang masunog. Kaya kung bibili ka dahil sa uso, baka bukas, uso ka na rin sa utang. Importante talaga pag-aralan nyo. At ito pa ang nagpasama sa sitwasyon ng real estate po right now. Ang dagdag na interest rates, mas lumala pa ang problema.
Number 9, high interest rates and loan defaults. After the pandemic, home loan interest rates went way up. Before 2020, you could get a housing loan for around 5%. Pero by 2023 to 2025, banks were offering 6% to 7.5% after the BSP raised policy rates to a peak of 6.5% in late 2023 to fight inflation. That meant stricter bank approvals for new applicants. Importante ang bank financing kasi karamihan, yun lang talaga ang choice ng buyer. Pag-ibig funding is not typically accepted by many mid-market developers. On the other hand, in-house financing also isn't really an option kasi ang typical rates doon umaabot ng 12% or higher per annum with only 5 to 10-year amortization terms, which is just too heavy for most buyers. Imagine this. A buyer reserves a condo worth 3 million pesos. Before the pandemic, at a 5% interest rate, the bank could approve it because the monthly amortization was around 20,000 pesos. But after 2023, when home loan rates climbed up to 7%, that monthly shot up to about 23,000 pesos. Ang problema, hindi na sapat ang income ng buyer para mag-qualify sa mas mataas na monthly. Kaya hindi sila nakakuha ng bank approval for the final loan takeout at turnover o kung ituloy man nila, kulang ang parenta para makover ang monthly amortization. Yung mga hindi na ibenta ang reservation rights nila o hindi na pasalo ang condo, hindi na naituloy ang bayad. Kaya balik sa inventory ang condo unit. Ganito nadadagdagan ang oversupply units that were reserved on paper but never truly absorbed by the market because buyers couldn't sustain the financing pagdating ng turnover.
Grabe, agree ako dito. Laki ng effect ng interest rate. Yung simple math lang dati, 20,000, naging 23. Ngayon, di ba, kung sweldo mo 30, paano na? Kaya lagi kong sinasabi, ang healthy po na sinasabi ng karamihan ng mga experts, not more than 30% of your monthly salary. Yung pasok sa budget mo, huwag niyong pipilitin. Kung ang monthly payment mo ay mas mataas pa sa grocery mo, baka yung condo na lang ang kainin mo. Kasi nga, nakakain na talaga yung budget mo pati pagkain. Kaya ito lang po babala lang po. Kahit may pera ka, sabihin, Chinky, gusto ko naman magpa-upa Oo. O sige, gusto mo magpa-upa. Pero ang tanong ko, may exit plan ka ba just in case?
Number 13, lack of exit options for owners. When condo owners decide they want to sell dahil sa hirap magparenta o gusto na nilang mag-cash out, there's another big roadblock, weak exit infrastructure. Ibig sabihin, there aren't enough systems or market players to help them resell easily or get out of the investment. Unlike mature markets, the Philippines has no institutional bulk buyers or REIT buyback programs for second-hand residential condos. Philippine REITs like Ariet or Double Dragon focuses on offices, not mid-market residential buyouts. Few cash buyers are willing to take over pre-selling loans since most resale buyers still rely on bank financing which has strict approvals. As a result, listings for resale condos, especially studios and one-bed bedrooms in oversupply districts can stay on the market for 6 to 18 months or even longer. When owners stock, that traps even more inventory in the market, making the oversupply problem worse.
Reality, because of the current situation right now, sa dami na nga naiipit, mahirap na po, very competitive na po yung resale market. It takes time for you to dispose. Agree ako dyan. Karamihan kasi akala nila pag magbebenta ng condo, no? Pero sa totoo lang, hindi kasi siya yung parang dollar, pwede mo ibenta agad. Hindi siya parang crypto, pwede mo ibenta agad. Hindi ba siya pwedeng stocks, pwede mo ibenta kaagad. Pero ito, kasi solid asset to, it takes time. And reality is, wala ring buyback program. Walang institutional buyers. Kaya kung gusto mong benta, kailangan you must be willing to wait. Kung pipilitin mo magbenta ngayon, you cannot sell at a seller's price. You have to sell at a buyer's price. Kung ang buyer's price yan, ibig sabihin, palugi yan. Kaya nga, again, mga kapatid, bago po tayo bumili, pag-isipan natin mabuti. Maganda nga may magsasabi, di ba, yung mga, sir, may mga amenities kami, may pool kami sa condo. Pero kung ang wallet mo naman, malulubog naman sa swimming pool ng utang, pag-isipan mo muna. Chinky, ano bang sinasabi mo? Is this not a good time to buy or is it a good time to buy? Eto na.
Now, let's break down what this means for you as a home buyer, investor, seller, or landlord, especially with the real estate cycle in mind. Real estate moves in cycles: expansion, oversupply, correction, recovery. What we're seeing now is a correction phase after years of aggressive expansion and speculative buying. That means there are opportunities if you know how to navigate the cycle. For home buyers, reselling can still be a good option since ang end goal mo naman ay titirhan mo talaga yung unit. That way, you can choose the best unit type, orientation, floor, view, and layout that all fit your lifestyle. Aside from that, a condo still really makes sense if you want to live closer to work, schools, hospitals, and commercial hubs instead of wasting hours commuting from far suburbs. Given today's oversupply, you can take advantage of developer promos or explore foreclosed ready for occupancy units. For investors, you have to be even more strategic. Ano ba talagang goal mo? Flipping for profit or long-term rental? Remember, not all condos are alike. Study the project carefully before you commit. Check the location, accessibility to infrastructure, and whether the unit's layout fits your target market. Think ahead. Is your unit going to stay competitive in the next cycle of recovery? During corrections, banks can be stricter, so plan for that. Home buyers and investors, never forget, it all comes down to your financials. Kaya mo ba talagang i-sustain ang loan payments pagdating ng turnover? For sellers, expect tighter competition. Oversupply means you'll need to price strategically, highlight what makes your unit stand out, and be prepared for a longer selling timeline. You might also explore creative financing options like assumption of mortgage, flexible payment schemes, or even rent-to-own offers to move your unit faster. For landlords, if your unit is slowly burning your pocket because of vacancies, remember your long game. You are building equity to protect against inflation, and eventually there will always be opportunities to rent out, especially to a younger generation that might no longer afford to buy property in the future.
Yes. The fact is, lahat po may cycle. In terms of number one, expansion, oversupply, correction, recovery. Ngayon, probably we can say we are in the correction stage, pero agree ako doon na talagang parang sa stock market may cycle din yan. Sa crypto may cycle din yan. May correction stage. Hindi naman pwedeng pataas ng pataas. Kung pataas ng pataas, syempre, lahat ng umakyat bumababa rin. Listen to me. Kung ikaw ay isang buyer right now, na gusto mong tirhan, this is one of the best time for you to scout and buy. Ask me why. Kasi nga, may leverage ka, mababa ang presyo, maraming choices. By the way, inside info lang to. May nakausap ko sang top developer na hindi ko na ipapangalan, itatago ko na lang sa, okay? Right now, if you're gonna buy in cash, they can offer you at least 20 to 30% discount. You heard me right. If you are following me right now, pag may kausap kang you want to pay in cash, humingi ka ng 20 to 30%. Siyempre, sa mga market na medyo mahihina. Pagka sa BGC, baka mahirapan ka kasi malakas pa rin ang demand sa BGC. Yung mga area na yung iniwanan ng Pogo, ay nako, pwede kang humingi ng 20 to 30% discount. Kaya pag ikaw naman ay nakabili na, Chinky, nakabili na ako, paano na, nakain na ako. Ito na, patience is key. Huwag kang magmamadali. Kung hindi mo kailangan ng pera, just keep it. Pwede mo paupahan as a lower price, okay lang, at least makabayad ka ng mga maintenance. It's other words, don't panic. It's organic. Magko-correct din yan. Pero yun nga, we don't know when. Ako personally, tinitignan ko kung kailangan ko talagang ibenta naman dahil nga kailangan mo ng pera, ay hindi mo kailangan maremata. Ngayon, wala ka talaga second choice. You might want to sell the property at a loss, or if not naman, ito pa yan, pwede mo na iparent to own. Long term ang payment, at least mababawi mo. Kaya mga kapatid, pag wala kang exit plan, para ka lang bumili ng one-way ticket papunta sa isang destination at wala ka ng balik. So, it's not a good decision. Kaya mga ka-chink, positive, syempre na mga kaiponaryo, may oversupply ba or overprice? Pakitype na lang sa comment section ano sa palagay nyo ang inyong opinion. So again, thank you very much for watching. I hope that you are enlightened. Medyo mahaba-haba to, pero I can assure you na talagang marami kayong matututunan. Sana naman, huwag kayong matakot. Again, always remember, in the middle of difficulties lies opportunity.
Tamang karunungan, tamang disiplina, ang susi sa pagyaman.